Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is Donita and Edyta with
Hello
you.
again.
And today we have Rachel with us again, which is so wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, being on our YouTube channel, creating time and space to be with us, to talk and explore. And a little bit about Rachel. She was a guest on our channel just over a month ago, I
Mhm.
think, and we explored magic, healing, and her amazing healing story, empowering story with everyone. So if you haven't had a chance to watch that episode, please go back, and I will add it into the link
Description.
yeah, the link at the bottom for you for easy access. But please go. There is like lots of good yummy nuggets and beautiful yummy energy. So, a little bit about Rachel. Rachel has been in the art and creative design space for her entire career. After experiencing a radical shift in her own physical and mental health, she has spent the past 6 years as an integrative wellness coach. Far beyond nutrition, movement, and meditation, Rachel assists others on their journey to better well being with a strong emphasis on creativity, mindfulness, and holistic health practices. Lovely, love that. So, thank you so much, Rachel, for being here again and welcome.
Thank you.
Back.
Thank you both so much. Thanks for having me back. This is fun, so I appreciate it.
This is always fun, yes. So, we were actually debating what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think where we're at in space right now is it's challenging to pick any one topic, right? Because so many things are changing so quickly. It's almost like, what don't we want to talk about, right? I think at this stage, what we're really seeing happen is most of the institutions that we have all grown up around are now starting to crumble, right? So we have this really wonderful opportunity, if we choose to, we have this wonderful opportunity to create something new, something that the planet has maybe never seen before. And in order to do that from a place of integrity, I think we all are really starting to learn how to adapt to what that shifting energy actually really feels like without getting swept away or getting, knocked off of our feet. So that's really what I think I'm experiencing the most at this stage is learning how to roll with the punches and go with the waves. One of the practices that I have, and I actually talked about this last time, is about writing. And I write every single day. And I do so in the morning just to kind of, do this mind dump to get everything out. And yesterday I was writing about kind of the blessing of learning how to float on top of the water and understanding that at any time the water could just choose to suck you right in, into its abyss.
Mhm.
And on the other side of it, the more you learn that you actually are this buoyant creature that has the opportunity to just float on top, that's the thing that you need to focus on. Um, and that's been hard for me, especially I'd like to say that I'm a recovering control addict. I love control. Um, I'm, I'm curious to know if either of you can relate to that,
Oh,
or maybe,
hello. You're talking to a fellow Gemini with working on yachts for many years,
yeah.
cleaning what's clean and OCD at maximum.
Oh yeah, in my 30s. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, my kids still remember the time.
But you know that all this control thing that comes
Yeah.
from survival.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point, actually. It's like I think we learn that early on too, especially for people that have experienced early trauma, which I
Mm-hmm.
certainly have. It puts you in the position of, okay, do I learn how to just trust and accept and surrender to whatever happens? Or do I hold on tight with every ounce of strength that I have and try to control my environment and people and situations? And we eventually learn that we can't do that. you know, and the universe or God or source or whatever you want to call it, just almost playfully is giggling, in the corner of, okay, you're going to try to control this. Boom. How about that? Oh, you're going to hold on even tighter now. Boom. How about that? And it's almost like this, like forced surrender. And when I say the word forced, it doesn't feel right. It almost feels like
forced.
yes, yeah. It doesn't feel true. I don't think it's forced so much as it's an invitation, right? It's this invitation to see things differently. More, and again, we talked about that last time too, is, like the more you have the opportunity to tell yourself, I am willing to see things differently, it really does allow you to open up to the possibility of something else revealing itself, right? Because it's almost like a scavenger hunt life, there's like, oh, there's a little clue over there about this thing, or there's a little clue over there, and you start collecting your data, and eventually you come up with something else, you come up with a different perspective. And miracles, all they are shifts in perspective. That's it. It doesn't necessarily even mean that something substantial needs to happen in 3D. It's more, I think, kind of realistic to see a miracle as just that little shift in what you are able to see. That was maybe there the whole time. So I don't know how you ladies, feel about that, or if that kind of resonates, but that's really the way that I see change and evolution.
Definitely resonates. I think it's for all of us until we see it and understand and be able to observe that it really is. The changes are coming in small pieces, and more we are able to see it, recognize it, then lives become more curious. We are just more curious about the next step. We have a dogs here, they're just snoring and
She's dreaming.
doing all kinds of things. So
I love it.
that's
What are you
this
dreaming
is
about?
how much we control things. Exactly.
Exactly. Amen to that.
Yes, yes. Yeah, 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 beautiful. This is what it is, the puzzles of life. And if we let it happen, will happen beautifully. But if we start controlling the puzzles, just don't fit.
Well, that's like what they say, that the only permanent thing in life is change.
Mhm.
And I actually love change.
Mm.
I know. I must have trained. It's just I learned to love it, but I love it. Or but
Yeah.
I remember it like and big changes, moving, shifting, transitioning. And it's
Mhm.
like if you focus, like I keep putting like I'm not even going into the details, like don't focus on what's falling away or crumbling, but focus on you like where your heart is taking you. See the light at the end of the tunnel, what you want, like the passion. And it's like the more curious you become, like we talked, remember, about life.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, well, I want to expand. Change helps expand.
But sometimes when something is happening like this, we don't remember, and it's like,
Yeah,
I don't
when
want
you
to do
when you
it.
when you're in it, it's like
Yes, and later we appreciate. And I think more we let ourselves to go through the changes, then easier comes, and we're just like having fun with all of it, really.
it's like what was this, like allowing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
allowing, embracing it, accepting it, allowing, accepting, embracing.
Yeah. Yeah. That it has been difficult for me the past couple weeks, I would say. I 100% agree with what you're saying. And also the journey to that acceptance and that allowing can be difficult. Um, I've experienced a lot of movement over the past several weeks, which you both are aware of, literal movement where I'm
Physical.
one state and then I'm 1,300 miles away, and then just weeks later, I'm another, several hundred miles away, and it's exhausting. I'm tired. I'm sad. I'm realizing that I'm going through this grieving process all over again. And grief is it has anyway for me, it's been one of my biggest teachers. And grief, the cycle of grief is so profound. I think it's probably one of the most significant cycles that someone can go through as a human being, because it teaches you so much about the ability that your heart has to really feel on both sides of the spectrum. Because if you're going to feel the true joy and beauty and elation of a moment, it's almost like you have to experience the equal opposite on the other side of the depth of loss or pain or fear, terror. um, it's not a pleasant experience. It's really not, until all of a sudden you just go, oh, okay, wow. Well, perhaps I wouldn't be feeling this much love in my heart, or my heart wouldn't have been cracked open as wide as it has been if I would not have experienced, and then you start to almost see the domino effect of what it took for your life to manifest the way that it did, and for you to be in the moment that you are. And then also on the other side, realize that you have no idea what's going to happen in an hour, let alone, 2 weeks or 2 months from now. So that can be a big journey in and of itself, of acceptance that, we really don't have much that we can rely on or say that there's a lot of certainty around. And that's tough. So yeah, I think I'm definitely experiencing a grief cycle right now, which it just makes me feel sad, and I don't always have the words to put to what I'm feeling or experiencing. I will say it can get frustrating sometimes too, when you kind of look around you and you're like, oh my gosh, when we talked about this too last time, about like, oh my gosh, I'm so blessed. Well, sometimes it almost makes it even worse when you aren't able to actually feel it, because you're experiencing something internally that it hasn't fully alchemized yet, hasn't been through its full process yet. It's not gold yet. And I think that that's where I'm at right now. So
We were talking for days about that with Doinita, and also about abandonment.
Abundance.
Yes. No, being
Abandonment. Yes,
Yes.
abandonment.
well,
Yes.
abandonment.
that
Yes.
comes with the grief and the sadness, and a lot of a lot of people, a lot of our clients are just complaining about waking up between 3 and 5 a.m. in the morning, not able to go back to sleep, which is the long meridian, which is about sadness and grief. So I think we are all going through it, or most of it going through it,
We,
because that's like you said, Rachel, that's the time for all of us. We are going through stuff, and
the collective right now
yes.
is going through change, like
Yes.
with what's happening in the skies, what's happening on the collective, like the old is crumbling. So change and grief, they go hand in hand, because with every shift and change we're grieving the loss. Doesn't matter if it was something excellent, a good experience, a better experience that you went, let's say you left something not not so good and you walked into something much better for you. You're still going to go through this process of grieving, because the body doesn't know any better. Body perceives change as death. So it's always, change equals death. It's just the law of it's kind of life. But right now, like, yeah, you're experiencing a lot of change and grief, like you're physically moving, and things are shifting for you physically, but there's the manifestation of the inner world that you're transforming on a deep levels. Plus, it's not enough that let's say you experiencing this for yourself, you're also like your antennas are with the collective
GPS.
GPS. So you're picking up everything and everybody. And we're on a collective going down the shadow, grieving, we're just healing all this. And all of that is on the surface. And it's manifesting for me differently. I'm ready to bloody move. I'm ready to move. physically, but I guess I'm still completing. I'm still in this like
Yeah, I think
bobbing,
all of us, we just have a different stories, different situation, and like you, Rachel mentioned that, you know, it's like sadness, grief, it's on the other side of the spectrum is the happiness and joy, but we were not able to experience that if we didn't experience the other things. And sometimes we try to avoid so much the grief, sadness, and all the trauma in life to just stay in the joy and happy moment. And it's very comfortable, but sometimes the life hits
but it's
the
not
right,
practical.
yes, and acceptance, like you said, acceptance, be able to accept, and Doinita mentioned accept that we are where we are at this moment and things are going to unfold.
And that requires surrendering.
Yes.
Yes. And and that's exactly right. I think uh, what's ultimately happening too is, especially if you're sensitive, and when I say sensitive, I mean that you are in tune, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not fully in this avatar of your body. You are more connected to what you can't see than what you can see. There can be almost like this preemptive mourning or grief that we're experiencing, because we also know we have yet to even really see the height of all of this and what's going on. I'll speak for myself in that. I am not under the illusion that we've seen as bad as it's going to get until things actually really start to shift and change, which I do believe that that is going to happen. I believe that we are going to, as a species, show our resilience and create a better world. I also see that as a long game. I don't see that as something that is going to come easy, because what we have asked, I'm trying to remember who it was that I heard say this, but it has something to do around the lines of, um, if you think that things are, I've lost it now. More along the lines of like, if things aren't done yet, just wait.
Patience.
Just see what's really going to happen. And I think that we are going to experience a lot because we've asked for a lot, right?
Just
So
remember, if this is not your happy ending, this is not the end.
yeah, exactly. And oh, now I remember what I was going to say. More along the lines of, if you're experiencing stress or frustration, it's because you've asked for a lot, but you've allowed only a little. So that kind of like that anxiousness or that discomfort or that, wow, it's because you've asked for so much. But what you've actually allowed in your evolution has been a fingernail shaving's worth of space for what you've actually really asked for. And I think that that's also too what humanity is dealing with, is as a culture, we've asked for so much change and freedom and yada yada yada, right? We ideally, I have not met a single person that doesn't want to experience a utopian society. However, they are not willing to compromise or shift enough in their level of thinking or acting or being to allow that to come through. And if one person is hurting, we all are hurting. Marianne Williamson said that and continues to say that. If one person on this planet is in pain and suffering, then we all are. And that's hard to wrap our head around, right? Because most people would like to think that change can be expected. The best case scenario change can be expected without having to compromise. And that's not real. That's not the truth of the contrast of this reality. And I believe that what we are also being invited to prove as our species because of our connection to mind, to source, is do we have to experience as much contrast as we do in order for us to evolve? And I think that that's kind of like the question right now. Do we have to go through so much in order for us to see so much change and to actually learn? I don't know. I have no idea.
I think in this reality that
That
we
makes sense.
live, yeah, I think
Yeah.
in this reality that we live, yes, because it's still our programming.
But exactly. But you know what I'm seeing as well is like
Great point.
Yeah.
we have to go through it because that we have to experiencing the loss. We
Mhm.
have to the body we have to experience in order to integrate, in order to expand, to break the
Mhm.
density, to surrender because we're so tight.
Yeah.
We hold on to stuff. So we have to go through this.
Today morning we had a conversation about exercising. Right now, a lot of people are craving movement of the physical body because that's the only way when we are able to get things out. They were emotional, mental at first, and become physical. So it's we have to move the physical body.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that what you're really speaking to is almost like this kind of what we talked about last time around somatics, right? Around the fact that our bodies hold on to these energies and these experiences because we are a carbon-based memory system. That's what our bodies are. And if we do not move those emotions and those experiences physically, they will stay there. It's not just we think them away. That's not real. We are human. So if we were just source and just God, which yes we are, and also these are our spacesuits, you know, we have to learn how to adapt to what the body requires, and the body requires a certain level of movement, and not just for strength and resilience, but also really to release the physicality of emotion. I met a really powerful healer a couple months ago who I'd love to actually have her speak on your podcast. She's just incredible. And I went to like one of her free workshops or something that she was offering. And I didn't know what it was going to be around, but it ended up being about anger and releasing anger and doing so through, you know, your physical you know, through language, through voice, through expressing yourself, through your throat chakra. And why that's so significant because of its placement, right? It's right in between your head and your heart. So that space, that channel is vital in order for these two spaces to communicate. And I didn't realize how much anger I still had to work through. And on the other side of that, yes, work through it, but also harness it, because anger is one of the most powerful motivators that there is, right? So if we are also going to have the fortitude and resilience to create a better world, we have to channel the reasons why we want something different. Otherwise, there's no momentum, there's no motivation. And I know as well as anybody, especially in the coaching space, most people will come to you because they're having a hard time staying motivated. They need that accountability, and you need a goal, but you also need a reason behind the goal. What's your why? You know, that's a big thing. What is your why? What's working, what's not working, but what's your why? And if we don't know what our why is, we're kind of, you know, back to floating, you know, we're just kind of floating and, you know, wherever the wind takes us is where we end up being. But if you have your reason in your back pocket and you can cultivate some fire behind that, which is, you know, I would like to think of anger as almost the fire because it burns things up. You want to make sure that you're actually getting that out. Otherwise, it's just going to burn you. But using that as a tool and not necessarily as a weapon. And there's a very fine line, I think. What do you think? Do you think that that's a
I agree. I used to have it for years. I mean, all kinds of stories, but I used to have my throat chakra when I started talking my truth and, things like this. My neck was just
Red.
red,
Mm.
red. I was like forcing, after so many years of being angry, I was forcing the connections. Like, yeah, I'm going to speak up my truth. I'm going to connect with my heart, no matter what. So that was like, and yeah, that was a big thing, funny thing at some point too. But yes, exactly. I totally relate with
Yeah.
that and
It can
agree.
be, I appreciate you sharing that because a lot of people have a hard time um, expressing their anger and also seeing anger as a really healthy thing.
Mhm.
I would say women more so than men because, well, depending on culturally too, like for me, I had an Italian father. I say Italian loosely, American Italian and American German mother. So Germans and Italians, very different nationalities, very different cultures. And I think that that's why I'm able to hold as much, space and duality as I can. But on one side, you have the inability to express emotion or the lack of safety in a space of expressing emotion, which would be, I would group the more Scandinavian cultures as you don't, speak when you're spoken to, rub dirt on it, deal with emotions on your own time kind of thing. And then you have more of like the romance cultures, right? That it's these bleeding hearts of this is everything that I'm feeling and expressing. And, it can be a challenge to find your space in the world and also learn how to speak your truth when you haven't been taught that your emotions are okay, especially anger or sadness. And that is, I have a very intimate relationship with that story because for me, um, having so many emotions as a kid, dealing with grief as a child. Childhood bereavement is not something that you find around. People will talk about sexual abuse or they'll talk about physical abuse, but they don't talk about childhood bereavement. And it's a different heaviness, and it also comes with different challenges in how to transmute that energy. And I didn't have a safe space to really process that as a child or as an adolescent. And when I got to adulthood, I didn't know how to feel safe or comfortable in my emotions or be seen. It was like it would come out in bursts, or in just these explosions of energy of I'm hurting so much. Somebody see me in my pain and tell me it's okay, you know? And I had to I had to also get comfortable with that. Just like, yeah, and that's okay. It's okay to also be angry that there hasn't been a space for you. Um, so I think it's become a little personal mission of mine to help give people a voice around their anger and around their emotions, but in a constructive way. And I think that construction looks a little bit different for everybody. So hence the reason for creativity, right? And, you know, in this podcast right now, you have three very creative people. And I think it's a very fine line between creativity and spirituality, because creativity is our opportunity to express spirit through movement or art or music or whatever. um but that's the line. So I think to kind of close the circle with all of it, it's the more you experience in terms of things that you have to reconcile as you grow, the more almost like um the more clay you have to mold into something beautiful. And coming back to what we were talking about earlier around, you know, do we require this much contrast to actually really learn? I don't know. Maybe, maybe, we think in some level of glory, we're going to be able to see a utopia on Earth at some point, in our evolution. But is that also an unrealistic goal just based off of why we are actually really here? And in my, belief system, I believe that we are here to expand consciousness and to be part of source learning. Um, but does it have to be so hard?
We choose the heart.
You think it's perspective?
We choose because it's like even like the human in me, it's like what's best, and still like I know that's like this is all unfolding divine. So when I step back and I look from a higher mind, everything that is here right now in my life is perfect as it should be, because it's still in the background. There's a lot of movement, but I'm not seeing it here. But when I'm in it and my human mind kicks into gear and the impatience comes in and I'm like, hurry up, let's go already, impatient. And when I'm impatient, like when you're impatient, you tense up the flow. You tense up, so you actually narrow, the flow. You get in the way, really.
Mhm.
So you cause the hard, you cause the difficulty, you cause the tension, you cause the pain by
Yes and no.
by
Because I'm looking at my grandson, and he's 5 right now. And I grew up totally differently. We grew up totally
yeah,
differently. I mean, different world, just like this. Yeah, you have to be strong, and no matter what.
yeah, little boys don't cry.
Yes, things like this. And I was even different mother too. But I see my older daughter being totally different mother. She allows him to feel the anger. She allows him to feel all the things. And at that point, he doesn't know what is good yet. I mean, he experiences life through the blank space, blank piece of paper that he has in his consciousness right now. So, like you, Rachel, mentioned, like, the trauma in the childhood is like, we know that it's not right. We can't put a tag on it. We don't know what is it, but we know that it's not right. But also we have such a small um, place of action to take action to come out from it. So usually we hold in, or we cry like my grandson, and and things like this. But if we don't have conscious people around us, we shovel all of it in, and this is what it's happening later. We have to just being able to see where we are and accept that whatever happened before, um, we can turn around and just be like okay with ourselves. But as a child, we don't have this ability to really do much about it.
Well, I
Yeah.
can beautifully, but I can share that, for example. So I'm originally from Moldova, and that's a very Latin blood, like Roman blood. But I was born to my mom loved me, but she was emotionally unavailable.
Mm, mm,
And my father was not even there. So he was physically and emotionally unavailable. So me, in the beginning, I was like expressing, like very open, very as a child, because we take, the mental capacity, but the mental doesn't really develop till about the age of what, 8 or 9. Before that, it was open and intuition. So
mm,
being open, but then I mimicked my mom. So I learned that, like, yeah, you express, but then I was growing up. I was shushed in school. I was, you can't talk back, keep being in line, da 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 da. So I completely shut down. So everything was there. And I relate with you, Rachel, as well. Then as I was growing older, I was exploding. There was this anger, but it was just me. But then when I had to speak up, there was like nothing coming. I was just frozen.
Mm.
And then with that also the guilt, because people would tell me there's like that you are a psycho. And then I would take that as like, so it was just like a mess a little bit.
And we were
Till
psycho.
we
We were
are.
psycho
We were
because
psycho.
we were suppressing our emotions. I grew up
And
the same
then
way. We were expressing our emotions. But look at my parents and kind of the whole generation. They were suppressing their emotions. They lived by based on a fear. I think the first and second war create this kind of reality for them, and they were not able to express their feelings. And this is how we grow up. And like
they
you,
were not
Rachel,
even
yes,
connected to their
mentioned
feelings.
that right now we are trying to change all of it and live in this perfect world, but it is still so much in our programming that it's like you said, we want so much, but later we let ourselves to receive just a tiny bit of it.
Mhm.
So this is the programming we have
Overwhelm.
still.
That's the
Yes.
word. That's the word that
Overwhelm.
yeah, when you're experiencing overwhelm, it's because
Mhm.
you've asked for a lot, but have
Mhm.
only allowed a little. That's what I was trying to say earlier. And that's, we come into the world then, into adolescence, I should say, with so much kind of overwhelm, especially again, especially when you're sensitive. And I keep saying that because I don't think that that is the reality for a lot of the people on the planet. They're so in the avatar and are so disconnected from
From
who,
themselves.
Yeah.
yeah, from who they actually are, that ignorance is bliss, man. And it can be really difficult to, on the other side of it, also have faith that humanity is going to see its way out, because ignorance, a
Is
lot of
bliss.
ignorance, a lot. And I can get kind of trapped too in like this uh um feeling of superiority, unfortunately, where I have to chickadee check myself into my humanity of, hold on, girl, you know, you're not, you're doing the best you can, but it is by no means perfect. So why even judge someone else's process? If they're here just to be a pawn in the game, then so be it. You
Yeah.
are too. Again, another thing that Marianne Williamson says is, either all of the children of God are special or none of the children of God are special. And if I'm going to think that we are all special, then, you have to give credit where credit is due. And that means 8 billion different, levels of credit for everybody's doing the best job that they can with what they have. Um,
And that's the hope.
That's the whole level to their level of awareness.
yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if
Perfect example, I think, too, is how we interact in the world on any given day. So whether we're talking to somebody that is checking us out at the grocery store, or that we're letting somebody in front of us when we're driving who needs to, get into the lane, or we are, helping hold the door for someone who's entering a building that we're just leaving from, or paying it forward where maybe we buy somebody's coffee that's behind us, whatever it is, right? It's in every choice that we have throughout any given day, we have the opportunity to either be better or we have the opportunity to be stuck. And the more awareness we bring to whatever the present moment is, back to the miracle is the shift in perspective, but also the miracle happens in the moment. Um, we create space for that. We hold space for that individually every day. And let's say, as an example, someone is kind of caught in their own story or in their own little mini matrix, or, the avatar isn't quite awake. If we do something kind to someone and act from a place of kindness versus rightness, that might give somebody else the opportunity to see, like, oh gosh, wow, maybe I can be a little bit kinder, or a little bit, more open to being nicer to somebody else as opposed to caught in my own, melodrama. I think that is where we have the opportunity to inspire one another every day, with or without, big platforms or platitudes. It's, in everyday situations.
Yeah, be the example.
Yeah.
Be the example of changes.
And see the divine in everyone.
Yeah.
See the special, the special, but in a nice way. See the divine in everyone and be compassionate.
Yeah. Be the change.
Change.
Edyta just said that's probably one of the most powerful things that was ever said. Be the change you wish to see. Gives me chills. I mean, I'm lit up right now because it's like,
so true.
Everything becomes so trite, but there's so much power in some of these things that have been said over the years from all of the teachers that have, come before us. It's just these subtle, sweet little things, all this spell casting and all this magic that, came before us, that I think sometimes, because words can easily get overused because language is so limiting, things start to lose their magic. They start to lose their luster. But it's very true. Be the change that you want to see and experience. And every choice that we make throughout the day is our vote. How are you interacting throughout the day with, are you recycling or not? Are you choosing the lettuce that doesn't have plastic on it versus the lettuce that is wrapped in plastic that might be a little bit, easier for you to, use or whatever. Those are actually really big decisions, because what we're doing is we're voting on on the world we want to live in. We're doubling down on it every time that we make those choices. And I have to remember that, because if we're not doing it, if we're not making those conscious choices toward creating a better world or being the change, then who is? Who's going to?
Yeah, then we cannot be upset with any other people and their choices in life, because we also are not part of it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And to do that is like, it's coming back to being present, coming back to being centered, to doing the inner work, to being, responsible for your life.
Yeah, for your choices.
For choices. Being conscious, mindful, grounded, like all the basics.
And sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, maybe to close, what makes it easier? What are some of the things that you would say, maybe one or two things that you would say that make it easier to stay in presence with that moment, to be intentional with your choices?
What I say, it is what it is. I accept.
Yeah. That's powerful.
And sometimes I'm like boiling in, but it's like, it is what it is. I accept.
What I do is kind of like the same, but before that, I just take a deep breath. Just breathe. I just come back into the body, just breathe, and just kind of center myself. Feel whatever is coming up, the bubbling, the boiling, the anger, whatever, frustration, impatience. Just feel the feeling. Just take a deep breath, feel it in the body, just exhaling. And it's like, okay, acceptance, surrender. It is what it is. And when I do that, what I do as well helps me. I allow my body to relax when I say that, when I do that. I allow my body to relax. And that helps me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my strategy pretty consistently around that is just saying, I'm willing to see this differently. That's all. Because I'm then giving it almost like the breadth to, maybe I am right. Maybe the way I'm feeling it right now is exactly what it is. And on the other side of it, maybe I am way too caught up in my own little story to really see the truth. And I think that there is truth is hard. It's so subjective or objective, I never know which, that to even have like solids is not, it's not realistic. This is
No.
all hologram anyway, so
Yeah, and one of the things that I recently started implementing, and I absolutely love it. When I feel stuck, when I feel overwhelmed, when I feel like I'm like in a spiral, I go, help. Literally, I just open my heart and it's like, help, please.
mhm,
And help, and then allow to receive. That's the key. You can
mhm,
ask for help, but if you are in a doors are closed space, then it's not going to happen. But help, open
there's
your
a
heart.
bottleneck,
I know,
right?
I know.
Where it's like, like if you have like maybe this much space to receive the whatever. And if the bottle's already kind of like has the sand coming through it, there's no way to like kind of get it through any faster unless we just open it up more.
Open it up and keep cleaning the pipes. Keep
Clean
cleaning
the
the
pipes.
pipes. Keep cleaning the pipes, the body, whether through breathing exercises, salt baths, keep focusing on purifying the body, grounding, centering,
Moving.
moving, inhaling essential oils, saging, crystal balls, whatever, to just bring frequency to purify the body, bring
Mhm.
awareness onto the body. That will actually help with widening. So when the help comes, it's felt.
Yes.
And you'll feel it first in your heart if you allow it.
Mhm.
And like Rachel said, it's like we are so caught up in our personal drama slash trauma stories.
Melodrama and everything.
A lot of times based on our previous experiences,
All of us,
that
right?
sometimes this is not even truth.
Most of the times, probably.
Yeah, I mean, more aware we are that we are able to at least see it. That wow, that thing is happening. This is all just here, making up stories, and just stop the story. Just stop the story.
Me and you, we started laughing. And it's like when I catch my mind going mental and I'm like, oh, you are so, you're so creative.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so creative.
So creative.
That's
Yeah.
why I love paint when
Mhm.
I paint, and it's like focus on it, no stories, nothing. It's just I'm just in a different world. That it's my savior, definitely.
Well, that's a great point, is that, one of the modalities that we have as human beings to let it all out or create something different is art, is our creativity.
Creativity and a different
But
form.
can
Yes,
it be expressed in every single, like, find your niche of
yes,
bringing that
Mhm.
fire, of bringing that passion out, right?
It comes back to getting, staying curious, which is what we talked about
totally.
last time, is the more curious you are, the more opportunity you have to learn something new. And the more you learn, the more you have, more tools you have in your tool belt to be able to create a different reality. And that's what we're all being invited to do, right? Is create a different reality together. So we can't also undervalue collaboration and how important it is, because the narcissism of society that says that it's all about me versus it's all about we is a holding pattern that we're in right now.
Yeah,
It's, to what point do the ones that have received as much as they have now look at that abundance and go, oh my gosh, how much more do I really need? Like, when, like, wake up. When do we all start actually serving ourselves? And I'm speaking to myself. I've received so much in the form of love and kindness and generosity and care and support, that it would be um, really selfish to not give back on the other side of that. And selfishness does not have any place in this world. It doesn't. We're all here to serve. We're here to serve the collective. We're here to serve God. And I hope that there is some depth in what I'm saying, and people don't just see that as like, oh, we are serving God, in some sort of religious context or framework. It's, we're here to serve the collective that is growing. We're growing the universe. We are expanding our ability within this space. No pressure, but yeah, a lot of pressure. We're all experiencing that pressure cooker right now of, yeah, and this is what that feels like. So I hope you're using all your tools. And I think it's fantastic that this, like when you really look at it, this started a long time ago, and maybe not that long ago for us really to be kind of consciously aware of it. But we really started to shift our awareness. I think it started, there was a wave that happened in the 60s, of course, right? And then it started to intensify and become more rapid over the past, let's say, probably 20 years. What would you say?
Yeah.
Or only maybe
2012?
7 years,
No.
8 years?
Yeah.
Since
2012, I
2012.
think.
Yeah.
2012, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I think that also is a great marker too, because it had such level of significance to so many people for so long. It was like December 21st, 2012, what are we going to see happen? Is there going to be this big major shift in consciousness, or was there going to be some sort of disaster? And no, it was like everybody was just starting to
Popping out.
started to like wake up. It was like these little fireworks were going off, and where people were like, whoa, holy mackerel, nothing is as it seems. And through we'll say since 2012, but leading up into that time, we've been given the opportunity to learn from so many people, especially with the internet, right? And how readily available information is. And using that tool to learn as much as you possibly can. Now we have to use it. Now things are hard. They are, like, things are getting tough for most people. We don't know what's going to happen if you're not using the tools that you've at least seen versus whether you actually have experience using them or not. We have this opportunity to say, okay, no, now I can be more conscious with my choices and ideally create something different on the other side. Otherwise, it's actually more painful, I think, when you are conscious and when you do know that there's a different choice and you choose, what you maybe would have chosen 20 years ago. The consequence is like so blatantly obvious that like it would have been in your highest and greatest good along with society to make a different choice. And that can be eye-opening for people. Ideally, it is eye-opening for people.
Ideally.
We are breaking our eggshells right now, coming out
We're
from
cracking on all levels.
Our own egg.
I know, that's why it's so important to follow the.
We're making scrambled eggs.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Get out of the head. Definitely, that's the biggest thing. Get out of the head, go into your heart. And like I like to say is like, I like to say to clients and stuff, like, pay attention to what makes your heart sing and your body purr, and follow that, go that direction.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah, I love
Just
that.
go that direction.
Understanding that it's a frequency too, right? Is that, like, if you've been paying attention to, this kind of like alternate way of thinking about reality and saying, okay, well, 3D is shifting into 5D, and we're trying to get out of being caught in 4D, which is like time, right? And really shifting this experience into more of a love frequency. Well, a lot of people have a lot of work to do around heart. There's a lot of broken hearts. It's really quite sad because it's such a powerful mechanism in our body, and it's where we experience so much feeling. Oh, it just makes me want to, it makes me want to cry. Because, so fun fact, so my dad died of a heart attack when he was young. And I think a lot of my life journey has been around healing my heart tied to his death, but also, okay, well, what was the family line around that brokenheartedness that needed to, come up to be cleared out? But so many people are dealing with their own brokenheartedness on very different, on different places within that spectrum. And the heart is such a sensitive place that most of the nurturing that we really need to receive in order to heal that place, we won't allow. People they don't allow that healing to happen because they're so afraid of their own vulnerability and to show and express that vulnerability around others, because it also means that you could get hurt even worse. But the more I think that we focus on healing our hearts, the more we will create that collective consciousness, I think, more quickly.
I agree. I had once a vision a long time ago that my heart was out of my body. And I was like, wait a second, what are you doing there? Come back. Come back, because something can hurt you. And at the same point, I felt like my ribs was such a huge and strong cage that I was holding my heart in it and not be able to let it go out to just experience. And heart wants to experience whatever it is, negative, positive, doesn't matter. And the love and hate relationship we hold in the heart, if we are out of balance, then yeah, can cause us issue. We are in the trouble. So,
But at the same time, the heart also is the strongest.
yes.
And it's the strongest because it's also is the most, as my teacher calls it, it's the best janitor. Because anything, it has the power to, it knows the truth. The brain doesn't, but the heart knows the truth. And if there is any pain, any suffering, any experience that is you're afraid to go in, that's the only way to heal it, to hold it in the heart and to stay with that, because it has the ability to transmute, to heal, to integrate the experience, the pain, the suffering. And then with that, it's almost like it shifts you into a different reality, into a different perspective. Suddenly you're more open to, and it's like a new life. You're new. It's like that is healed, it's integrated, it's done. So you're more expanded and you are opening. So don't be afraid to feel whatever is there, pain, suffering, hurt, because this is your way to freedom, through the heart, through feeling your emotions.
And our body has the ability to
Heal.
heal, but also it's a very important part of the nervous system in a body. Like we have arthritis in the hands and the legs because the body is so smart and is trying to push all the toxins and everything, mental, whatever toxins, out of the heart as far as possible from the heart. So we have a people in a hospital, the brain is not working, but the heart is still beating. So the body will do everything to keep the heart beating. So if we just remember that this is for us to be here and be alive, work with that, then definitely that could bring us many beautiful changes.
Amen.
And
Heart healing.
heart healing.
Yes.
And I think we are done for today, are we?
I think so.
Well,
Rachel, do you wanna add something?
like
No.
a last heart
Last
comment.
amen statement.
Last amen statement.
Amen, a woman. I think ending on a heart note is very appropriate for where we are at in space. And maybe just an invitation for people to give their heart maybe a little bit extra attention over the next several weeks, of coming into a space of being present with themselves, taking some very deep breaths, connecting their breath with what's actually happening in their chest and in their heart, and just sitting and giving their heart the same amount of love that maybe they would be giving a loved one. Taking some time to not only cultivate that love for others and for the collective and service, but also in service to ourselves and our own hearts. And seeing our hearts as maybe the 5-year-old or 7-year-old version of ourselves walking out, in the world, giving ourselves compassion. I think a lot of what is going to get us to that next level is just having more self-compassion. And then on the other side of that, treating others with that same level of kindness. So thank you. This has been wonderful. I'm grateful for both of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And I just
Thank
wanted
you.
as a joke, it's like for the next few weeks till the rest of your life.
Exactly. 100%. Yes. Practice it over the next couple weeks
Hey,
and
And
may
keep
it
practicing.
keep practicing.
keep
Practice
it
makes
keep
it better.
practicing.
Practice makes it good. Practice makes it
Exactly.
perfect.
100%. Thank
So
you.
thank you so much, Rachel. This was so much fun and yummy, and we had no idea what we're gonna talk, but now we can't stop.
Yeah.
What I can do is I can go ahead and just in closing, pull a card from my favorite
Yeah, why don't we?
here. It's the Threads of Fate Shadow Edition Oracle deck. Let's see. We'll have a little maybe collective message here.
Oh, that's nice.
There it is. Ooh,
What's that? Underworld.
Underworld.
Nice.
Perfect. Very
Yeah.
apropos, right?
Yeah. So how I would receive that is really, don't be afraid to dig a little deeper, and allow whatever needs to come up to the surface, to be cleared. Just allow it to happen. You're held on the other side of that. There's nothing to be afraid of. And if you need resources to help deal with that, there are plenty out there, and you're looking at 3 of them.
Amen to that.
Mm.
So
Thank you, ladies.
thank you,
you so
Rachel.
much.
And thank you, everyone. If you're still listening, thank you. Hope this was, you enjoyed it, and lots of nuggets. And so, wishing you many blessings. Until next time, take care. Bye.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank all of you
Guys.
guys.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Yes.